Hey everybody, another new episode of Bird Brain 66 with my good buddy Brian Bretch on the right or left side of me, as we always say. The first episode of 2022, we are going to dive into the 1980s this time. Our favorite player at each position, least favorite player, manager, all that good stuff. So, Brian, I'm going to let you go ahead and start it off.
We've been looking forward to doing this one for a while. We had great success doing the 1970s, and we're just going to do this. We got some other twists and turns, but we will go according to the scorecard, 1 through 9. Andy and I had a lot in common for the decades of the 70s, but I think because of that, we're probably going to not try to trick one another, but put in a little bit more twists and turns on this, just because we didn't want to have the same players. What do we have out of the last group? I think all but 2 in the 70s were the same. No, none of the same cards, which we were surprised at. We figured we'd have at least 1 or 2.
Yeah, that was very surprising, actually.
Yeah. So starting out at position number 1, go ahead and who do you have there, sir? Pitcher.
Tudor in the 87 Classic. Oh, there you have it.
1985 Topps All-Star. I like the Classic card, though. It's really cool.
Yeah, I was actually it was pretty close between him and Andujar. I was looking at Andujar pretty hard, and even Force in there.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
with Tudor, and people may not know that Tudor started out that 85 season 1-7, and then had an incredible 20-1 run after that point, and which was phenomenal. I mean, nobody has a better stretch than that I can ever think of in Cardinal pitching history. So, but that wasn't his only accomplishment with the Cardinals, but that's one of the highlights that he had with the Cardinals. Oh, and he had 10 shutouts that year as well, which was pretty phenomenal.
And it wasn't it like a high school buddy or his high school coach was the one that noticed some sort of a glitch that he was tipping his pitches or something, and once he made 1 or 2 of those adjustments, he was pretty much unhittable. It was pretty amazing.
And the 10 shutouts, we got starting pitchers that can't get 10 games, 10 wins. I mean, it's phenomenal. So, and so going up in slot number 2, which would be the catcher's position, who did you select?
Oh, I went back and forth on this one, and I had to go with the World Series MVP from 1980,
Very nice.
The Coca-Cola card.
Yeah, there you go, Milton Bradley.
Nice.
Daryl Porter.
What I found fascinating, and again, a little bit of a tough one, looking at his wins above replacements. Having 3.9 in 1983 was pretty impressive. So, and when you're a World Series MVP, that weighed heavily.
Oh yeah,
heavily into it as well. So good selection.
Yeah, he had a pretty interesting career with the Royals and the Cardinals, and unfortunately had a sad ending to his life. But a great ball player, very very hard worker though, and really, one of Whitey's favorites. So
definitely. All righty. Well, I'm getting a little nervous here as we're 2 for 2 already. All right. Position number 3.
With Mr. Hernandez.
Nice.
So this is the card that comes out of the All-Star Game program from 1981. And if you see the back of it, so it's got a little
Yep.
bit on there, little highlights on there. So went with Mr. Hernandez on that.
Very cool. So I went back and forth, and this one I think I did a little bit differently because I figured you would pick him. So I went with the Ripper. Had to go with
Jack. It was close. It was real close.
Yeah, and I just went with him. Basically, what he did in 85 and 87, leading the Cardinals with his monstrous home runs, his clutch home runs, and then when he gets hurt in 86, look what the team did. I mean, they really had nobody in the lineup that could drive in runs, and just wanted to showcase this is the 85 OPG card of Jack Clark. So
Nice.
pretty cool.
Good selection there.
So one different. That's cool. All right, position
Mark
4.
that down. Sure, mark that down.
And he keeps stats
On
of
the
all
official,
this.
on the
Awesome.
official tally there.
Official score sheet. All right, position 4. You want me to show first, or you want to show?
Yep, go ahead. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
All right. Had to go with the Drake's cookie of Tommy Herr. For me, it was just crazy.
With the
Scorecard.
Yep. I liked him flying in the air there, so I made that selection there.
What does the back of that look like? Score actually did a nice job with their cards. I think they were kind of somewhat underrated in their production of cards.
I think people were put off by the color scheme. I think that was because that was something new that people weren't used to at that particular time. But I thought they still did a pretty nice job with all their cards, especially the photography was really good.
Mm.
They didn't settle for a lot of those canned poses that you normally saw from some of the other companies.
Right. No, I agree.
They were decent looking cards.
Okay. So,
well, this next one is a no brainer. So there shouldn't even be real discussion about that. The six hole there.
Go ahead.
Card. So I went with the OPG 82 Aussie, and you can see there's a traded statement right on the front of there.
Mm-hmm.
It's confused by the Padres uniform, but you do see the Cardinals at the bottom and
I love that. I love that card. No dirty caps. They didn't. That's what I like about OPG. They've done that for years. They just
stamp it and move on.
Move on. So that was position 6. So technically we skipped 5, but that's all right if we're going.
Oh, we did. Oh my gosh, we did do that. That's horrible. How do we do it? We can't even count, for Christ's sake.
It's all right.
Just to throw out some stuff on Ozzy.
Yeah, let's do.
I'm all-star, 8-time Gold Glove winner in the 80s. I mean, from the time he got there, and that's just for the Cardinals. I didn't count his Padres time, obviously, but.
Didn't he set the assist record with the Padres, something like 621, 22, something like that in the season? I think it was 2 seasons before he became a Cardinal. It was like in 79, I believe, that he gobbled up everything in San Diego.
Oh, and plus he was a Silver Slugger winner in '87. I want to go back to Herr for a minute because there was something I did want to mention about him that I thought was very interesting that doesn't get brought up a lot. In 85, he drove in 110 runs with 8 home runs, which is pretty phenomenal. I mean, if you think about it, so he was really clutch because he was knocking guys in with singles, doubles, so he was really getting guys in, getting guys home, like nobody's business. So
yeah.
Remember
how many years it was in a row where he, let me look at the back of his card real quick. He went like 4 or 5 seasons before he even hit his first major league home run. Yeah. He didn't hit his first major league home run until 1983. So he played 3 full seasons without ever hitting a home run. More of a doubles guy, more of a triples guy, and definitely, like you said, Mr. Clutch.
So I guess we're going to take one away and go back to 5 now. So we're do some subtraction here since we couldn't.
Sure.
It's a numerical order for whatever reason.
Yep.
We'll go ahead and.
Mine's going to be a surprise because I just decided I wanted to go with the local guy with what he did.
I was going to do that, but I went with Mr. Pendleton instead. It was close. It's kind of a toss up in a way, but the 80
Same.
Back there.
Yeah, I could have went either way. In fact, I've got that written down. I mean, that was out of all of the stuff, that was probably the toughest one for me because honestly, Pendleton was with the Cardinals a longer run in the 80s than what Ken was. But again, you got a local guy who won a World Series title, and
But fortunately or unfortunately for the Cardinals, Pendleton really gained ground once he got with the Braves, though, because he was just on fire after that. So
yeah,
just one of those things that was going to come in the future, hopefully. But we didn't get to see it on the Redbirds, but that's okay. So now we're going to jump ahead to number 7 in left field. So hopefully we get that correct.
all right. I'm going with an oddball one, but I think we'll have the same guy.
Oh yeah,
Invincible.
Smokey the Bear.
Mm-hmm.
And the bazooka. Very, very good.
Got the fire tips on the back here. What does mine say here? Make
Top,
sure
drop, and roll.
Almost. Make sure your chimney and fireplace are fire safe. There's a Smokey with a shovel at the bottom there, and the chimney sweep on top. So
That's a very good tip.
good tip.
Yeah, with the winter season about us. See, it's still relevant today.
Mm-hmm. Right now, it's very relevant. Definitely.
It is. Number 8, center field. One of
Me and Coach, I'm ready to play.
my favorite Cardinals right there, all time right there. The UK Mini.
Love that card.
Flip that one over so get a little bit of trivia on Willie on the back there.
Yeah, I think
I wasn't lazy this time. I actually got some than tops. So
very cool.
because during the 80s and 90s, there are, and even the 2000s, there's a ton of brands and food product or whatever out there with different ball players on it. So it was a little bit easier than the 70s. That's why I was so lazy. That's my excuse.
I'll buy it. It's good enough for me. All righty. What are you going to do for a right field, sir? Position number 9.
I went with same guy I went with in the 1970s, Mr. George Hendrick on the squirt. It's funny, I put that card away and got this card out.
Did you?
Yeah, I actually grabbed one.
Love it.
See looks like the top back on there, top's back on that reverse side of that.
Yeah. So what's good about doing this too is we get to showcase a lot of different cards that, like you were saying earlier, whether it's Pops, Donruss, Fleer, cookies, potato chips,
dog food. There's some dog food in the 90s. So there you go.
No, there's all sorts of stuff. So very good. All right. So we go to, what do you want to do? Reliever?
Yeah, let's go with the reliever.
Okay.
So it was a toss up on this one because there were 2 very dominant guys. But yeah, so I went with a Coke on that one.
Yeah.
Had to bring it back.
The back? Does the back look? Yeah, the back looks exactly like the regular tops. It's just the Coca-Cola logo.
Yeah, it's got the logo on it. Yep. It was between him and Worrell, obviously, but went with Bruce.
And mine was the 83 Donruss.
So we doing what we got next?
Well, we have utility or manager.
We can go with manager. Another no-brainer in this.
But this is my fun one because it's as big as my head now.
I know, it's huge. I went with the Nestle 84 Nestle Herzog.
That's cool. And this is the 1980 Schnooks.
Schnooks, yeah, I recognize
I mean, not 1980. I'm sorry.
86, right?
86, 87. Yeah. I don't know why I said 1980. We're doing the 80s, but it wasn't the right year. So now we're going to get into some fun because now it kind of opens up. I knew we were going to be close on quite a few of them. What did we differ on? Just the one?
On
the first base?
First base, yes.
Okay. Do you want to do Utility next or sentimental?
We'll go with the sentimental because it was that was a close call on that as well.
I had all sorts of people that I wanted to select for this. So I'll show mine first, only because of what he did again. I went with Glenn Brummer and his famous stealing of home plate, but so many people to choose from at this one. Just again, that great call.
Going with Tito Landrum.
Nice.
Had 8 years with the Cardinals. So he actually left the Cardinals. He won the World Series in '82 with the Cardinals and the Orioles in '83, and came back. So, and we actually met him at Six Flags.
Right.
Was that probably '82, '83, somewhere around that time frame? He was there with his family.
Yeah, super nice guy. Yeah, no, I definitely remember that. But yeah, that actually had him in my grouping as well to
Looking back here because
Forsh was also in there as one of my sentimentals. Yeah, there was just a ton of guys. I also had Lonnie Smith was probably was a toss up between Brummer, Lonnie Smith, and Tito Landrum. I mean, just really running neck and neck. So that made it a little bit tougher.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough call on both those guys. I'm actually looking for something real quick.
And then utility, I thought was just because of everything that he did, it was easy to go with.
It's funny because I select him in the same jacket, but a different year.
Wow.
It's actually, if you look at the back, it's actually in the same time. They took it at the same time.
Yeah.
Just used
They
it.
just,
Yeah.
hey, look this way and then look this way. And then it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. He's looking at you there, looking at you there.
Yeah. So it's 85 and 87.
Yep.
Interesting. Now I have to go back and look in
86.
See what it looks like.
That's hilarious. They basically took the photo at the same time and used it in two different years. So there you go. Normally it's just the same photo, period.
Right. All right. This one I think we'll have a lot of fun with. We might get bashed over this. But who is your
Well, this is our least favorite player for the '80s, and I'm going to preempt it. He was one of my favorite players when he first got called up, but I don't know. I don't know what happened, or it just didn't. I don't know. It just didn't seem like. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was about him, but it was Van Slyke. So I chose.
same? I don't know.
Quote from Whitey Herzog about him was "Slick can play,"
Mm-hmm.
and but not up to Whitey standards apparently. So he didn't last very long with the Cards, but had a great potential, obviously, because you saw he went on, was successful with the Pirates, and he did have some very good hitters to hit in between in the Pirates lineup as well.
Some guy named Bond, some guy named Bonilla.
Yeah. Yes. Maybe
That was
you guys.
That was very helpful. Well, and again, you and I knew that was going to be a runaway just because we've, have always been baffled by his lack of potential in St. Louis. But, the other guy that really honestly was a close second for me, and I almost selected him, but if I recall, he only played one season because he was such a pain in the rear, was catcher Mike Heath when we made the trade to get him from. Did we get him from the Tigers or did we get him from the A's? We either got him from the Tigers and then after one season we traded him to the A's, or we got him from the A's after one season we traded him to the Tigers. He just had, was definitely not a Herzog type player whatsoever, and made it be known and just, wasn't likable in the dugout, etc. So I mean, at least Van Slyke would give you good quotes and stuff like that. He wasn't, in terms of, Heath was.
He's a good ball player. I mean,
yeah,
just
and he was just basically a jerk for whatever reasons. I don't know if he just didn't want to come from the American League to the National League or what his particular beef was, but Yeah, there was a lot. I mean, people were extremely happy. Fans as well as teammates were happy when Heath was traded. I don't think fans were so happy that Van Slyke was traded, even though at the time he didn't live up to. And plus, Andy, has come back and makes his home in the St. Louis area.
Yep.
And met him a couple of times at Busch Stadium. Nice guy. I don't have anything against him. It was just that time frame that we had to pick.
Well, there you go. So that's a good caveat there. It was during that time period, not now or after that time period. Yep.
And plus, his boy played for a number of years with the Dodgers, and then I'm trying to remember where was it? Scott? I think it's Scott Van Slyke. But anyway, so any other thoughts on closing out the 80s? I mean, this was the decade that you and I really have been wanting to do for quite some time. We started with the 70s just to be a little bit different, but we were both chomping at the bit to do the 1980s.
Well, I think that the fact that Van Halen put out a great album in '84, and then they broke up and then put out an album, they sold the most, of all time with the next album was Sammy Hagar. I had to mention that because, whenever I can throw a Van Halen reference in there, and there you get the best of both worlds.
There you go.
Both of those singers. Yeah. How you like that?
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, I think that should wrap this one up. This will be fun. We've already talked about we're definitely going to do the 90s and all the other, decades now that we've covered this show, the 80s. And we've already, you can catch us on YouTube at BirdBrain66 if you want to see what we have to say about the 70s. 90s are going to be a little bit different because we have that rough patch from about 90 to about 95. And then all of a sudden, Mr. LaRussa comes in 96, and all of a sudden, we're off going in.
But you do get your last appearance of Red Shandy's as the manager of the Cardinals one more time, in another decade. So that's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you see another flash from the past and Joe Torre coming back to the Cardinals as manager. So that's a pretty interesting time period with the Redbirds. I don't think Torre was a little underrated with the Cardinals just because I think the talent that he had was not up to par at that particular time, and obviously because he went on to the Yankees and was very successful. So I think it was just a matter of the ball club at the time, and a lot of the machinations of trying to find out who was going to play where. We didn't really have a solid guy at first during the 90s or a solid guy at second, and just it goes on and on, and again and. For whatever reason, are in right field, because that seems a constant theme for the Cardinals throughout I don't know how many decades is that now? Like 5 decades. It seems like there's only 4 decades. They can't keep a consistent right fielder. Maybe Carlson will be the guy that finally comes in and becomes that staple in right field. We'll wait and see.
Yep. All right. Well, I can't wait to do the 90s and, like I said, the other decades. So with that, thanks everybody for joining us for this episode of BirdBrain66 with your host. He's Andy Teague over on my right or left. We'll figure this out, after our 500th show, I'm sure.
I can never remember.
I'm Brian Bretsch. This is BirdBrain66. You can follow us at our YouTube channel, on Twitter at BirdBrain66, and Facebook at BirdBrain66. So with that, peace. Take care, everybody.
Thanks.